General Assembly of West African Power Pool in Africa has been held in Accra, with the West African economy pledging their commitment to the establishment of a regional energy market that will secure the future of electricity in the sub-region. President Akufo-Addo, who hosted the session, called for a regional approach to tackling the challenges in the energy sector.
In most West African countries, the annual growth in demand for electricity is estimated at 10%. This means that for every 7 years, we need to double our investment in electricity infrastructure. Investment in the energy sector has been termed as impact investment, in that it ensures the delivery of financial and social returns that have the potential to address important challenges, such as reduction of poverty and improvement of the lives of people. In West Africa, fortunately, through the ECOWAS Energy Protocol, efforts have been made to resolve the regulatory and political barriers constraining investment in electricity supply and inadequate infrastructure along the electricity value chain. Heads of state and government of ECOWAS, through the Supplementary Act, decided most of the regional power generation facilities should be developed by WAP through special purpose vehicles under the PPP framework. The 450 megawatt WAP regional thermal generation plants at Aboise in Ghana and Maria Gleta in Benin are being developed within this framework. The success of these projects will go a long way to boost investor confidence and attract private sector capital into other WAP projects. Ladies and gentlemen, Ghana has been able, through the right regulatory, legal, and commercial framework, to attract a lot of private sector players into the generation end of the business, and in the near future should be able to export its excess generation through the WAP network to other countries. We are fully aware that if we are to see West Africa prosper, a region that is able to turn its natural endowments into resources that will afford her people access to better education.
Isn't it intriguing, the idea of a West Africa power pool? Let's talk about how it works and how it's going to ease the energy pressure that we face as a country. I have in the studio here Samuel Ampe Masari. He's with the ECG. He's the manager of performance management. So you're welcome.
Thank you very much.
Also here in the studio with me is Mustafa Sise. Mustafa Sise is he is with the West African Power Pool as the project coordinator. He is with the Planning, Investment Programs and Environmental Safeguard Department. That's a lot. You're welcome, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, let me start with you, sir, since you are with the WAP directly. Tell us how, in very plain, non-technical terms, how this is going to ease the energy problems that we've had in this country.
Okay. Thank you very much. No, the West African Power Pool, let me start with the rationale for setting it up. The rationale is that for setting up the West African Power Pool is that we have the energy resources in West Africa, but these are unevenly distributed in the region. So you need a mechanism that will bring all these resources together in order to be able to give reliable, affordable, and stable electricity to the people of West Africa. So basically, that is what it's like, a pool. So you try to pool all your resources together and then share among a group of people.
Okay, so that then perhaps makes it easier, but how? If what sort of resources are we looking at? Do we know?
Okay, what the resources that you need, if you are talking of electricity, you need generation. That is, you generate the electricity, and you need to transport it and then distribute. So what the WAP is doing is to take the lead or coordinate efforts in West Africa to build generation and transmission infrastructure.
So where are we now with the project?
Right now, we have out of the 14 mainland countries of West Africa, we have managed to interconnect 9 of them.
Okay.
So the other 5 which are left, by 2019, we should be able to connect all of them, all the 14 mainland countries. You know, Cape Verde is an island very far off West Africa, so
they are part of the 5, I guess.
No, they are not.
They are not part of the 5.
They are not part of
okay,
the
so
5.
which countries are part of the 5?
The 5 are basically Liberia, Sierra Leone, Guinea, the Gambia, and then Guinea-Bissau.
Okay, Gambia and Guinea-Bissau. I'll come to you, sir, so that you tell us why these people are lagging behind. But let me bring the ECG in. It brings the story a bit much closer to us, and that's because they are the ones giving us power directly. There's been a lot of issues within ECG, privatization, strikes. You know, your members agitated, taking the state to court, etc. Now on this project, how sure are we that with the change, you know, in ownership, as we're looking at, that is not going to jeopardize the process?
The change in ownership in ECG not going to jeopardize which process? This very process?
This process, yes.
Oh, not at all. You know, the founding fathers of ECG, of ECOWAS, intended that we will have the power pool, and its operation goes beyond ECG. So what it means is that irrespective of the internal changes within ECG, once it's an ECOWAS, then it has overriding authority so far. So there isn't so much the possibility of jeopardizing the process.
So yes, there is the possibility. It's just not so much.
So much because if there is no, ECG ceases to exist, so to speak, then West Africa Power Pool is bereft of a member. But ECG will not cease to exist once there are internal changes.
Okay.
So West Africa Power Pool will still have ECG as a member.
How is this going to improve on the system delivery? I actually wanted you to answer the question about whether or not the new owners, if everything goes through at the final point, are aware of this arrangement and whether or not they're happy about it. This must be information available to you.
Well, the new owners are not in yet, but whatever it is, as I said, the West Africa Power Pool is in existence, and whoever takes over ECG will have to be affiliated with the West African Power Pool. Will have to be a member. Will have to accede to WAP and be a member. So there's not the slightest likelihood that there will be changes.
Well, we'll see. We'll be here to be monitoring, by the way. But I understand the point that Mr. Sisi makes when he says that we're putting together resources, and when you do that, obviously you have a lot more at your disposal, so we can be able to manage it. But let me bring it bring it to ECG. Tell us how this is going to improve on your ability to meet our national demands.
Okay, that's great. What the West African Power Pool is doing is that apart from activities within the separate countries, individual countries, they are pooling the resources together. So it's like creating where there are inexistent resources, pooling them together and sharing.
Okay.
So what it means is that ECG will have much more resources, and once there is power coming from the member countries, like let's say Côte d'Ivoire, they are doing all the interconnection. Power is coming from Côte d'Ivoire. Whenever we do not have power, it's likely we are going to have reserve power from some other country coming into the system. So that is where the pooling of the resources and sharing becomes very relevant. So if we are falling short in terms of power, you can depend on power from another country, and the lines are already there, the network are already being built, so that you can have those resources.
I see, but we already depend on Côte d'Ivoire for some sort of power support, don't we? So what difference does it make? Maybe Mr. Sisi, you have that answer?
Yeah, it's already there are bilateral contracts between the various countries. That is between Ghana. In fact, Ghana started the bilateral contract with Togo and Benin as far back as the 1968 or something. Yeah. So these contracts really do exist. Okay. But what the West African Power Pool seeks to do is to create maybe a day-ahead market. That is, if you want to buy power tomorrow,
It's available.
It is available.
How much is it costing us? The last time we heard that we were paying so much to get power from Cote d'Ivoire, if that is right. How much is this going to cost us as a country who is part of this coalition?
Normally, it should cost less because the order in which power is dispatched from one country to another is the cheapest power that goes. And with the power pool, we are talking of power generated, which is very actually cheaper.
Okay.
That is, for example, Guinea has a lot of hydro. Guinea have a lot of hydro potential. So that if Ghana hasn't got the power, you can buy the power through the pool from Guinea into Ghana.
Okay.
So that in effect it means that power should be, if all things work well, then we should have cheaper power.
I see. Guinea-Bissau, Gambia, Guinea, Liberia, Sierra Leone, why are they not a part as yet?
Yeah, we have the WAPAC has a master plan.
Okay.
And that master plan is a master plan for generation and transmission infrastructure. If I say transmission is transport of, that is, you generate the power here. You have to transport it from one point to another. That's what we call transmission, and that's what we are developing. And there's a plan. But for Liberia, Sierra Leone, and Guinea, you know that they have been through a lot of problems. Yeah. So on the 4th of this year, we launched the commencement of works on a transmission line from Cote d'Ivoire right through to Guinea.
Okay.
And that line is called the CLSG. It's a line of about 1,400 kilometers, which takes off from Ivory Coast or from Cote d'Ivoire. And you know, Cote d'Ivoire is linked to Ghana, and Ghana is linked to Togo. Togo is linked to Benin. Benin is linked to Nigeria. So all along the coast, you have all the countries linked together.
I see. It sounds interesting. It sounds like something that I want to know a bit more about, but unfortunately we've run out of time. But let me take your final words about, I mean, I want you to assume or imagine that you're looking into the eyes of Ghanaians, especially younger Ghanaians who have had to deal with Dumsor for some time, you know, and are having their hopes high up. They've heard the president speak about what, and the hopes are high. To what extent can you convince them or assure them that this project is not going to be one of the things that Ghanaians wasted their money on?
I think the foundation has already been laid, as I said, and the president nailed it when he said that he's for integration of West Africa. And this is one of the projects that has made a lot of strides so far. The power pool, as we have in West Africa, is unlike other power pools in Eastern Africa, etc. And so far, there has been enough proof that the power pool has come to stay. There is support in terms of donor support, and their work is above par in the sense that, just as CC told us, there's interconnection systems that are still ongoing.
Okay. And
no sooner than later, I'm sure, we'll reap the benefit thereof. The future seems bright.
The future seems bright. That's a phrase you must have heard over and over again. But let's keep hope alive, and we'll see how it goes. So your final word as well.
Yeah. The idea of a power pool is a good one, in that if you don't have power in your country, you can rely on power from somewhere. So instead of you investing that amount of money, you can rely on somebody on another country to supply you with that power. Right. So in effect, we can even make savings through our investments.
Hopefully.
But all this thrives on trust. We need to operate the market for some time, have a history of trust with us, so that people will put their confidence in. But as at now, the most important thing is for us to have that commitment, and I think that the president made that very clear today. There is the need for us to be committed to that idea, that we want to integrate our power system. We need to show the commitment. That political will should be there for us to really integrate.
Speaking of which, speaking of connecting us, when a problem happens in one country, like the countries you mentioned who have had to go through civil war, and this is something that I'm just chipping in. The countries, for example, Sierra Leone. I mean, if anything happens, a disaster, war, whatever happens in a particular country, what's the extent to which it will affect other countries who are connected?
In fact, a war happening in that country, normally when even wars happen, electricity lines are normal because these are international contracts.
What about disasters?
Disaster, well, that one, but we build in their inbuilt mechanism. What we have as reserve power, what we have as even backup power, so that in case one fails, you can fall. And that is why we are doing the lines all over the place, so that if somebody is in, say, Guinea, so let me give you an example, and the line has to go through Sierra Leone, Liberia, and then Cote d'Ivoire to get to Ghana. We can take it somewhere through Mali, and through Mali there's a line with Cote d'Ivoire. It comes to Cote d'Ivoire and it can come to Ghana.
Sounds
so
like
it's been built in such a way that you have some degree to maneuver.
Okay. Like I said, this is something that I certainly want to know a lot more about, but our time is running out, and so we'll have to end it here. Hopefully sometime soon we'll have to call on you again, so we'll finish the conversation. But is there any timeline?
Yes, the first phase of it should have been declared by the end of this year. But I think that there are little challenges here and there.
So we're looking at next year?
The first phase is going to be next year. But the functional market, we'll have it in 2019.
2019.
So the market we have started building is like a stock exchange that we have here. And the building is under construction. The equipment that will help us to monitor that you want to buy power from Guinea. So we tell that, okay, we will link up with the person in Guinea. You do a settlement. When will it be delivered? When will it be paid? And all those things. The building and the equipment is ongoing, that project, in Benin. And by 2019, that building
2019. So we'll be looking at 2019 to see how that goes. Mustafa Sisse is with the West African Power Pool as a project coordinator. He's with specifically the Planning, Investments, Programs and Environmental Safeguard Department. Also here with me in the studio has been Emmanuel Ampe-Masari. He's with the ECG. He's Manager of Performance Management. Thank you very much, sir, for coming as well. Away from the West African Power Pool, players in the housing industry are optimistic effective collaboration between government, private sector and the private sector can potentially address Ghana's housing needs. The country's growing housing deficit currently stands at 1.7 million. This and other challenges are what the Multi-TV's annual Habitat Fair seeks to address. Prince Appiah has been monitoring preparations ahead of Friday's opening of the Kumasi edition of the event over 3 days.
Goal 11 of the Sustainable Development Goals demands signatories ensure inclusive human settlement and management. This, however, seems far from being achieved, as observed by Dr. Divine Ahaji of Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology. The lecturer at the College of Settlement Planning is worried Ghana's pace towards inclusive society is too slow.
I don't think Ghana is prepared now to use cities or housing as a means of addressing Goal 11, especially building an inclusive society. Because over the years, government policy towards housing has focused on building houses for government workers who form just how many people are in the public sector as compared to those who are in the informal sector. It means that in terms of housing, government is doing very little to help the majority of Ghanaians who are poor and I think that is where I think that if SDG 11 is saying we should use housing to build an inclusive society, I think Ghana is failing as a country in that direction.
Sami Amegaibo is secretary of the Executive Council of Ghana Real Estate Developers Association, GRIDA. He believes there is no effective collaboration between private sector and government.
Infrastructure, provisions, road, electricity, water, and those stuff which also add up the cost to the developer are things that are actually the responsibility of government. But government today says that it doesn't have the funding, or there are so many things that they are looking at, so don't have the big budget to support it. And so developers are doing it on their own. And so these things can be done. We need to collaborate between government, the central government, the district assemblies to be able to.
Against this background, the annual Multi-TV Habitat Fair opens in Kumasi after successful events in Accra earlier. Feverish preparation is ongoing at the Kumasi City Mall, venue for the 3-day fair. Stephen Esson leads the operations team.
Habitat Fair remains the best in the housing industry. Like I said earlier, it brings together everyone, those in the real estate development, construction, home furnishing. We have other clients that are also into solar, especially when you have power challenges. We have Energy Commission to be part of this fair.
Some exhibitors have high expectations.
We are here in Kumasi expecting a big turnout, but we must all come here and see the kind of properties that we have. There are properties that surpasses anything in this country for now. Their prices are very, very good, competitive, and the environment is as clean and serene as possible.
Preparation is ongoing, and we are expecting the people of Kumasi to come to the mall and see what we have to showcase. Everyone should come out, come to our stand at Elegant Homes and see our beautiful houses. We're giving out 10% discount on all our properties, in addition to a video entry system, remote control gate and garage, fitted kitchen, and many more. See you there.
Prince Apia reporting.